It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And now we got a good friend, a West Point graduate, a former Assistant Secretary of the Air Force, Ty McCoy. Ty, how are you today?
I'm fine, John. And Rita, how are you today?
John, we're good. We're worried about the world. We're worried about our country. Ty, I mean, you went to West Point when West Point was West Point, and hopefully it still is. Give us an update. What the heck is going on in Israel, the Suez Canal, the Houthis, the Iran? I mean, it's just one big mess. And they want Kamala Harris to run it for 4 more years.
Well, you're right. I mean, the lack of leadership to date has led to all of these conflicts breaking out. And really, in many ways, it's reminiscent of World War II, where the failure leadership in France and England led Hitler to believe that he could make his move and led others to believe that. And we're sort of beginning to see what could be now, I sense, really described as the Chapter 1 of World War III. We had in World War II actions of violence and attacks in 3 theaters: Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, and Asia. And now we have the same going on in the same 3 theaters, as well as a great deal of difficulty and penetration and special operations against us in the Americas, the 4th hemisphere. So we're facing a lot of problems. The North Koreans have been used as a proxy by China. China is really behind a lot of this. They're playing a game of chess with a lot of different pawns on a lot of different chessboards. They have the Russians basically distracting us. They have the Iranians helping them. They have the North Koreans helping the Russians. They have the proxies for Iran, Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas, helping to disturb peace and prosperity in the Middle East and Africa. So we have really a worldwide outbreak of kinetic warfare for the first time. And this time around, unlike World War II, we have space, we have cyber, and we have nuclear weapons. So it makes it a lot more dangerous. There's a lot of people that are sitting on a bit of a hair trigger. There are great, huge stakes involved in terms of prosperity. Wars are started by people who are greedy and whose ego is unchecked. They want more power. In order to get that power, they need 2 things. They need people, and they need land under those people, and they need energy. Energy to make things, to make weapons of war, to make those things function. So in some ways, it's really a return to the past, and the axis of evil has been really expanded.
Wow.
Across multiple theaters.
Ty, how much do you think is also them sensing weakness? I mean, in this White House, in this moment?
Well, I think it's very true, Rita. They sense a general bit of weakness on the part of democracies who don't want to sacrifice and fight. And in particular, this administration, which has thrown down weakness one time after another on various issues. And then thirdly, on top of that, we're coming to a very tricky period of a transition of leadership from from Biden to either Trump or Harris. And they realize there may be civil unrest and distractions and fights and burning, looting, lawsuits, and they may feel that they can take advantage of that situation to do more than they've done to date.
Absolutely. Ty McCoy. Yep. Charlie Gasparino's here.
Ty, I shuddered a little bit when you were talking about the riots and everything. Listen, philosophically, I'd love to blame weakness on the Biden-Harris administration for what's going on, but don't you really have isolationism sort of in both parties right now? I mean, I listen to lots of podcasts, a lot of decision makers. Tucker Carlson is a friend of mine. I listen to his podcast. He's got Trump's ear. He talks about a huge degree of isolationism. You see this throughout the Republican Party, particularly in the MAGA movement. So are they reacting just to Biden-Harris, or are they reacting to isolationism on both sides? I know what Donald Trump would say. Oh, I would call Abdul up and say, if you start that, here's your house. I'm going to explode it. And, I bet you that does work. But there's got to be a calculus here that goes beyond Biden-Harris, isn't there?
Well, there is. There's always a bit of a long history of isolationism in the country. We had two oceans separating us from a lot of bad people back in the day. Franklin Roosevelt was elected to really keep us in his third term, to keep us out of war. And he had to proceed very carefully once he saw that Europe was falling to buttress the English, the United Kingdom, when they were all alone standing against Hitler. And then, of course, the Japanese, sensing that we might be distracted by what was going on in Europe and also our isolationism, they said, let's attack Southeast Asia. They made a very, of course, foolish mistake attacking us at Pearl Harbor. So there is that huge tendency. Democrats or democracies do not want to fight wars and waste their hard-won prosperity and their powers, their population, their children in these wars. The bad guys can command up and send their young people into war and have them slaughtered, and unless it gets too bad and the units break under pressure and run away in the field, which it's hard to do because they'll shoot them while they're running, then they're willing to make those kind of sacrifices to expand themselves and to enhance their power and to secure their place in the hierarchy, because they've advertised that they're the biggest and toughest guys in their countries, and a lot of those advertisements and statements that they have made that they now have to fulfill are almost unwinnable and undoable things. So the things they've promised to secure their own power in their own societies have now put them and us in peril.
Understood. We got to take a hard break. Thank you for calling in, and thank you for your wisdom, and we'll catch up again soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Let's take a break, and we're going to come back and discuss Charlie Gasparito's new book, and Go Woke, Go Broke. I suggested we send it to all the college professors. Let's take that break.